Beyond the newsroom, where untold story is revealed.
Beat ya media beyond the newsroom gwe mkutu sema kutu kwoli nzedde niyo kubanga nkutusaako ensonga z'esemasonga ezitambula ate era ezigenda maaso mu ggwanga lya Uganda kwoteeka ensi yonna okutwaliza wamu as long as ziba zeze waneeno tuba tugenda zikwatako ate tuzogereko eddogo lirimu NRM lisusse ebya speaker Anita Among byeyogedde okulanda Kadaga Sabbo n'ebyamabe bino bivuddeyo abeeroze bamaze okweroga ne bamala ate ne beeyatulira lwatu kyokka nno kyekiri mu NRM
Ebuvanjuba nebugwanjuba ewaka wasigalawo ewasinga Beyond the newsroom gwe mukutu ogukuleetera ekyo ekisinga katiranga naffe ng'oyita ku noti 771 44 53 ne noti 744 26 45 na bino bikulu tetulanga bafere tetulanga basawo ba kinnansi n'abagwa mu koowa eryo mwebale kutuwagira. Thank you.
ne bamala ate ne beeyatulira lwatu kyokka nno kyekiri mu NRM kikyafumbira ddala motoku abamu ku bo bagamba nti tebagenda kubeera nga bakkiriza ate munnange kubalinnya ku mitwe wabula bo we bali okwerondera oyo owaabwe gwe balowooza nti ye speaker gwe bagenda genda maaso n'okubanga ate bagoberera kwoteeka okukkiririza nzeddeni aliwo okubanga nkutuusaako ensonga zonna nga bwe zigenda maaso n'okubanga zitambula njagala okusaba n'obuwombeefu obw'ekika ekya waggulu vidiyo eno sooka ogimpere like wegiba like ejja kudduka emisinde mingi etuuke ekubulisa kino maaso olw'okubanga agifuna ate era mu ngeri y'emu nawe bwe gubanga gwe mulundi gwo ogusoose okulaba vidiyo zaffe njagala okusaba gwe muganda wange nti twegatteko ku makutu guno ng'osubscribinga subscribinga okone mukade okazijire personalize okateke all sobola ofuna notification ku mboozi zonna ennyuvu zetugenda maaso n'okuba ng'ate tuteekayo ku mukoto ogwa Beyond the newsroom era nkujjukiza nti tulina omukutu gwaffe omujja ogumanyikiddwa bulungi ng'ogwa The Exclusive nagwo weeguli okubanga gukutuusaako ensonga ez'enjawulo naddala gwagenda maaso n'okuba nga weetaaga amawulire mu busonda ez'enjawulo tubeera tukutuusaako byonna nga bwe babitambudde naddala mu ggwanga lyattu Uganda weewaawo awo wennyini njagala onzikirize we tubaate tutandikira olunaku luno olumanyikiddwa nga olwaleero sebyangu naye ate nga bituufu wabula nzikiriza ate nsooke mala okubanga nzijawuko bakama baffe bano betutambula nabo wano ku Beyond the newsroom abamanyikiddwa bulungi nga Laika Mobile bano nno bakugamba nti balina ekipya ekiriwo mu town kyekiriwa kyekyokuba nti ebintu by'okubanga ogula data oba airtime ng'okozesa MTN oba Airtel babigonzezza era bagamba nti nyiga *217 *543# ogende maaso n'okubanga ate ogula airtime oba data obadde weebuuza wa oyinza okujja airtime wa Laika oba okugula data bwetwogera data tugamba MBs bannaffe abamanyikiddwa nga Laika Mobile bakugamba nyiga bunyizi oba oli ku Airtel oba MTN nyiga bunyizi *217 *543# osobola okubanga weegulira airtime ne data ku makutu gonna kwona abooli ate onyumirwe empeereza ey'omuggundu emanyikiddwa nga eya Laika Mobile weewaawo nzikiriza tusooke tutandikire wano mu nsonga za musajja mukulu ono amanyikiddwa nga Andrew Mwenda amaze okuexposinga ebiri mu NRM wuliriza.
When they enter the meeting, Museveni plays an audio and a video where Kadaga had gone to a witch doctor and asked the witch doctor to bewitch and kill Museveni, Mama Janet, Saleh, Mohozi, and Anita Among, 5 of them. And that, yes, and Kadaga admits to have visited the witch doctor and that these audios that Museveni was playing are actually authentic and true.
No
So
way.
he has to break down and apologize. She has to break down and apologize. So the meeting actually centers around Kadaga's attempt to bewitch and kill the 5.
No.
Then when the meeting ends,
ebyama bino mu kutandika okuvaavaayo Andrew Mwenda ya breaking the silence atya ng'agamba nti eyali speaker wa parliament eye10 parliament ey'Omwenda amanyikiddwa bulungi nga Rebecca alitwala Kadaga bwe yagenda mu ssabo ew'omuganga n'amugamba nti yagala amuttira abantu bataano, Gen M7, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, Anita Among, ng'agamba nti bano bonna abakowe oba oliawo babadde balemesa enteekateeka ze. Era mu meeting gye baatuulamu mbu Kadaga bamuteerayoko audio era n'atulika n'akaaba mwanattu ng'ali mu ssabo. Kati nno bwe mpulira emboozi bw'eti Uganda n'otunuulira eggwanga erigamba nti for God and my country, naye ng'ebikwatagana ku ggwanga be balogo nnamba emu. Kati mba mutuufu oba mukyamu okozesa statement egamba nti abatukulembera balogo n'okusinga mmwe bwe mukirowooza. Baganda bange, kati nno nze bwe mpulira emboozi bwe zityo zindeetera okureflectinga ku ki musajja mukulu amanyikiddwa nga omugenzi Pastor Yiga kye yakola, nabbi omukazi. Yakwata omusamize we n'amupulootinga n'abaana ba kamera ne bamukwata bulungi akatambi nti jangu ffe tukutwale Yiga jajja amaanyi, nga byonna bipange ne bamaliriza nga bamu expose nze okulaba nga bamusuula. Ekitegeeza there might be something or a hidden trap Kadaga gye yagwamu gy'ataamanya. Ayinza n'okuba bamubalire ddiiru mukazi wattu ne bamugamba omanyi Kadaga ono togenda kumusobola, wabula nze mmanyi omusawo amukolako era mbadde nkusaba ojje nkutwaleyo. Ebyo nno bibaamu era mu politics ebifaanagana bwe bityo ate oyinza kubanga obibuusa maaso. Naye ddala abakulembeze be mwandiise ng'abakulembeze nga bo obulamu babutambuliza ku ddogo. It's really unfortunate okulaba abakulembeze baffe. Kati wuliriza bino bisesa, wulira ebya Anita Among.
Anita Among proposed that the election of a president in the future should be done by parliament, which is understandable. As President Gen M7 is growing older, it is going to be difficult for him at his advanced age to run around campaigning for president. So it's better you have a party that has a majority in the parliament that is the one that chooses the president. In which case, that is the Uganda Constitution of 1967. That is the South African Constitution of today. Now, if Among suggested that, and you are M7, what do you read there? Because from 7, he may say 1, maybe she's proposing that we amend the constitution and have parliament elect the president, but she has absolute master of parliament, in which case she's proposing this to remove me. Or even if you don't believe that, you would say, if we go forward, I need this amendment so that I don't keep running around campaigning. My party wins and then my party selects me as president. But who is in control of the party in parliament? Because let me tell you one thing you can notice about Among. Among was very effective politician in electoral colleges. She was not an effective politician in the general public. Why? Because her ostentatious living, there is a way she appeared to the public as arrogant, as rude, but also as crass in her materialism. So there is a lot of hostility towards her. But that hostility comes from people who have never dealt with her person to person. The people who have dealt with her at a personal level have enormous admiration for her. You see, every member of parliament who campaigned right now and won, Anita Among went to each and everyone's constituency and campaigned for them. She's the one who moved across the whole country. I have a young friend. He's called Brian Kaboyo. He was recently defeated as mayor of Hoima. So he was telling me a story of how, when he lost the mayoral race, she called him to sympathize and empathize with him. Now imagine how many people. This is a small mayor in Hoima there, Hoima City, and you are calling them as the powerful speaker that she was. Imagine just how many people she has called and reassured. I have another friend I was talking to the other day. He said he had a contract to do some work. The contract was the people in the ministry were manipulating him out, and the friend says, "Let me take you to Among." He takes him to Among, and Among calls the PS who speaks Lusoga, and Among speaks in Lusoga to this PS and restores his contract. And he never asked anything from this guy, but she just helped him. So you see that the people who worked with her at a personal level or who went to her for assistance, she was able to create a personal connection to them. A person like that in an electoral college becomes powerful. And as Robert is therefore saying, and this is what Robert had not pointed to, that even if this is a desire of Museveni to have the constitution amended so that parliament is the one that elects the president, you don't want to have a speaker of such influence, because then she can have herself elected. She can get impeached or vote of no confidence passed. So I think that Anita's biggest weakness, beyond the fact that she was blind to the kind of political costs that come from ostentatious display of public display of ostentation, and yet you're a public official, she also lacked the understanding of how power is organized in a revolutionary movement like the NRM, that there is always a boss, and never try to accumulate that amount of power. And people who tried, like Amama Mbabazi, like Chikale Kaihura, followed exactly that path. In fact, I'm convinced that Kaihura was very loyal to Museveni. He will never ever betray Museveni. But Museveni was convinced that Kaihura was a threat, and you saw how they took him out. And it is Kale Kaihura who recruited
By the way,
Anita Among to NRM. Are you guys aware? When he was Inspector General of Police, she was in FDC. He's the one who recruited her, behind the doors, took her to the president, and brought her into the fold, even though she was an independent FDC MP. So the fact that she did not see his career path and how it ended, Kale was a very powerful person. And she came and accumulated equivalent power as Kaihura had, and she has suffered the same fate. Now, of course, the Batoro say, Ningambera balinsi, baligur kuhura, meaning I'm telling those who are here on earth so that those up there can hear. So if you're trying to accumulate a lot of power, please be careful. There can only be one bull in the corral.
Bw'owuliriza ebigambo bya Andrew Mwenda akugamba nti Anita Among yalina proposal era nga yagigamba ne Gen M7 nga baagala okubeera nga baleeta ekiteeso mu parliament nti parliament yebeeronda president era nga nabo ng'abenyarem balaba kirungi olw'ensonga nti we tunaaviira mu kino ekisanja gino emyaka 5 Gen M7 agenda baakaddiye nga bamukululira kaliba nga kwegamba abantu tebakyasobola yadde kukola ki nga takyasobola kutambula district za Uganda zonna kuzimalayo ng'anoonya kalulu. So kati ne balowoozaamu nti bwe baba bakoze ekikolwa nga kino ekyokuba nga babaka ba parliament be balonda kati nga wano bajja kwata omusimbi bagwiwe mu zi constituencies balonda abenyarem oba bakole buli lyanyi lyonna oba fujjo baleete numbers basobole okuba nga balonda omukulembeze. Naye ate Anita ke basinze okumweraliikiriramu kwe kuba nti abadde alina influence mu babaka bangi nga bamukkiririzaamu. Kati okuba n'amaanyi ago kyaleetedde okweraliikiriza Gen M7 ng'era bagamba nti ono tabanga entebe yange gye yeetaaga ate nga bwekuba kugitwala yandibadde asobola. Wabula Mwenda agamba obuzibu bwasisinkanye buli bumu nti waliwo ababadde ab'amaanyi ne buli agezezzaako okusemberera entebe eyo gezaako okusemberera entebe eyo bw'atyo bw'asobodde okuba nga ayesibwa. Tunuulirako ku basajja nga ba Amama Mbabazi ba Kaihura nga ne kati musajja watu walinga atakyaliwo. Mwenda akunnyonnyodde n'akubuulira ku biki ebiri munda. Kati gwe Munnayuganda alaba ebintu ng'obiraba kungulu lightly mwana wattu osaanye okyuseemu oba abazungu balina ekigambo kye batera okukozesa nti you should pull up your stockings. Awo we tutuuse Uganda ng'eggwanga. Wuliriza ffe tugende mu maaso.
I told you guys that Anita Among had accumulated a lot of power and influence, both within the institutions of state. She had absolute mastery of parliament, but she had also amassed a lot of influence in the judiciary. She had amassed a lot of influence in other institutions of state. But more than that, she had gone beyond that and gone into civic institutions like the NRM, where she defeated the Kadaga by 93%. Anita Among joined NRM 5 years ago. Kadaga has been in NRM since 1989. She had been speaker for 10 years, deputy speaker for 10 years, speaker for 10. That's 20 years as speaker. To wallop her by 93% in an NRM electoral contest must have sent shockwaves down Museveni's Spain. Why? To win the contest inside the NRM, Charles, you look at the electoral college, you have all chairmen of LC3 across the country, all mayors of cities, municipalities, and town councils, all LC5 councillors, all chairpersons of LC5, you have to have all these leagues, the Veterans League, the Women's League, people with disability, youth, veterans, the elderly, all those leagues, and then the entrepreneurial league. Then from that you come to all members of parliament. That's a constituency covering the whole country, covering every single sub-county. And within 5 years, you have built a powerful infrastructure to win by not 55, not 6, not 7, 93%. So I felt that the influence she had accumulated in the parliament and other institutions of state, and also she had captured institutions of civil society. She told you that if you go to parliament, she used the parliamentary commission to give jobs to powerful journalists, to influential businessmen, their sons. She helped businessmen get contracts within the government. So she had.
Andrew Mwenda akunnyonnyola butya Anita Among bw'abadde asensedde gavumenti eno bw'abadde agiyingiddemu nga mu buli wamu agwayo musige damuzi abadde alinayo influence era nga bw'ayogera tewaddibwamu twogerekoko mu parliament eyo yo yiye bwe twogerako ku bukulembeze mu kibiina kya NRM ekiri mu buyinza ku kadde kano nga nayo tagambwako era bo ng'abali munda bakugamba nti Anita Among abadde afunye amaanyi agatalina ayina era nga tewali n'omu ayinza kumukwatamu ekitegeeza Anita Among abadde afuuse threat eri General Kaguta Museveni kyokka ate nga there is a rule that says that never and never outshine your master tiboogezaako okubanga osukkuluma n'osingako ku mukamaawo okumulaga nti ono abadde biwero mwana tu ebisobola okuddirira byebyo kankwongere vidiyo endala wano.
She had built a large and powerful network of elite constituencies, whether they were clerics in the church and the mosque, whether they were business persons, whether they were professionals, traditional leaders, practically every segment of society. She had captured it. It was obvious to me, and I said it in that last podcast, that therefore she became a threat to power. Now, what happened? What did we see last week? What we saw last week was a convergence of two different but compatible interests and pursuits. On the one hand, there was the need of President Museveni to clip her wings. On the other, there was the need of General Muhoozi, who is hostile to corruption and ostentatious living by public officials, to get rid of her. So father and son, commander-in-chief and CDF had a convergence of different but compatible interests and pursuits, and they converged around her. Both of them needed to get her out of the way. But the decisive factor in this battle was, of course, Museveni. It is Museveni's word that would have the final say. And Charles yourself in the shoes of Museveni. Anita Among had consistently demonstrated to Museveni that she was loyal to him and she was willing to do his bidding. But for Museveni, these are intentions she has expressed. And Museveni has two problems with intentions. One, intentions, a person can mislead you by faking loyalty when they are plotting against you. But two, even if Museveni believed that she was being sincere and genuine in her loyalty, Museveni is acutely aware that as her power and influence grew, in the future that power and influence could tempt her to seek the presidency. In other words, for Museveni, it is not intentions that matter, it is the capabilities that you have. Because as capabilities change, they can tempt somebody to change their intentions. So even if, in Museveni's world, even if Anita Among did not have a premeditated plan to seek the presidency, her growing power and influence could tempt her to seek that goal. It was better for Museveni to decapitate her or to neutralize her in time, to slay the potential monster in her before it matures.
Bw'owuliriza ebigambo bya Andrew Mwenda akugamba nti Among ku maanyi g'abadde afunye gatuuse ekiseera ne geeraliikiriza Gen Museveni nti newankubadde abadde muwulize era abadde muddu awulira eri Gen Museveni naye abadde tasobola kwesiga ng'amaanyi ago bwe geeyongera nti era n'agamba kadde kandituuse Among n'ayagala okweyagaliza entebe eyo. Kaakati okubanga abamugema badde balina okumutemako amatabi n'okumukangamu mu ngeri efaanana bw'etyo.
Treasures. And it turns out they can't find the money, so they begin digging the tiles in her house, in her staircase. They think there is a vault under the staircase. Finally, they find only 402,000 shillings.
Okay.
Which was in a box in her son's bed.
So
in her
Andrew,
son's bedroom.
Even that part is true. That they only found 402,000, not
Only.
the.
No,
Okay.
no. The other one was social media banter. It wasn't true.
Okay.
So
Okay.
now, of course, everyone who knows Anita Among knows Anita Among used to keep huge tons of cash in her house. Everybody who went there walked out with $50 million, or rather with 50 million shillings or $30,000. She used to distribute a lot of cash. And the question, of course, for security is, where did this money go? Did she have such a highly sophisticated vault that she could have pressed the button and some place in the house opens? And because even you have Sheng, if we search your house, maybe we may find a million, at least mine. You may find about six.
Maybe
Or
you,
you may
but
find
me.
about 6 million or something. I have to keep some cash at home in case anything happens. I can't go to the bank and I can't use mobile money. So I am inclined to believe that how could it be that they did not find a lot of money at Anita Among's house? That is what has defied my thinking. So, but what we see is that the primary driver of what we are seeing with Anita Among is an attempt by Museveni to neutralize not a rival, but a potential rival, because Museveni must anticipate threats and neutralize them before they materialize.
Mwenda agamba nti mu kunoonyereza ssente ze baasanga ewa Among zaali emitwalo 42 era zaali mu kisenge kya mwana we, tezaali za Among oba oliawo. Naye agamba nti bwe baatunulatunulamu balabira ddala Among ng'afuuse oba ng'ayolekedde okufuuka obulabe bw'ekintu ekitali kyangu gye bali. So balina okusala amagezi gonna okulaba butya bwe bayinza omunafuya n'okulaba butya bwe bayinza okumueliminating oba oliawo okumutoolako ku maanyi. Oli ku Beyond the Newsroom, wamma gwe kiki olowooza? Nze Deni ku mukutu kwoli gwa Beyond the Newsroom. Wano wenyini nzikiriza wemba nkusiibulira tusinkane nga Gulude nakkiriza bula teweerabira subscribinga ku mukutu guno video gimpeera like okona mukade okaje personalize okateeke mu all osobola ofuna notification ku mboozi zonna ennyuvu tukuteerayo bw'oba omaliriza ekyo okujjukiza nti tulina omukutu gwaffe omujja gumanyikiddwa nga ogwa Deni Exclusive. Deni Exclusive tuba n'emboozi ez'enjawulo ze tuba twetaaga okuba nga ate tukuwa naawe n'osobola okuba nga omanya ate era kwoteeka n'okubeera nga ozitegeera. Weewaawo awo wennyini njagala okusabira nzikirize nkuteere wano ate tusinkane nga Gulude n'oyo akkiriza. Beyond the Newsroom, nze Deni, bye bye.
Beyond the Newsroom, where untold story is revealed.